that
And
line.
the beauty of the EcuTech software there just showed it, right? We have it set to not go over a certain boost level, so if it does boost cut, you can catch it and be like, okay.
Even a tenth of a PSI.
Exactly.
And the ECU will say, nope.
Yep. And that's the beauty of it at that point. It'll love it at that point.
It's an engine saver.
Yep. What's up guys, Nick from Soho Motorsports, and we're back with another build. This time it's a 2012 Nissan 370z, Soho Stage 2 single turbo kit, E85, VR transmission. Let's dive into this one. All right, so you guys probably remember Raul's 2008 G37 that made over 700 wheel. This is going to be the exact same setup, however, with a VR transmission. So let's dive into this vehicle and talk about exactly what was done to this. So this is Holden's 2012 Nissan 370z. This vehicle came to us completely stock. Stock airboxes, no tune on it. All it had was a Tomei single exit, and that was it. So we did a baseline on the car, and the car put down 278 wheel and 248 foot-pounds of torque. Typical numbers for an automatic transmission. And so obviously having those numbers, he came in wanting all of it. And when I mean by all of it, basically everything. So Soho Stage 2 single turbo kit, VR transmission, CJM fuel return system, 1300cc injectors, 525 Hellcat pump, and basically all of the boost that we can give to it on the stock motor with E85. So the other components that were put into this vehicle are obviously going to be that we upgraded from the stock VHR transmission, because at the power level we were shooting for on this vehicle, the stock VHR transmission was not going to be able to handle the power. So we upgraded to the VR transmission that comes out of the Q50, Q60, 3.0 twin turbo models. And that allows us to put the torque down and not have to go the built transmission way. So along with that, we also did the billet upgraded flex plate from Fast Intentions, which is a must if you're shooting for big power, if you're trying to launch the car, if you're trying to do anything with the car besides normal driving, you want to have that billet flex plate, just because the stock one is a hollow piece and they tend to break. And you know when it's going to break. It's going to break when you're lining up to race somebody or when you're trying to do a pass. So make sure you get the billet upgraded flex plate from Fast Intentions. It's a great component. It's a beautiful looking piece. And so reach out to them if you're looking for that. And so go with that setup. The remainder of the items that we do in this vehicle, and I always talk about whenever we have the older vehicles come in 09s, 10s, 11s, 12s, 13s, 14s, we always recommend doing the gallery gaskets. So we did an oil gallery gasket test on this vehicle to see what the oil pressure was. Didn't have any signs of anything. However, when we did the test, the oil pressure was low. We advised on doing the oil gallery gaskets along with all of the timing components. Lo and behold, once we got into it, we did find some of the material had basically blown away. We were able to catch it prior to getting boost into it. And like I say, a lot of times when these motors fail, it's because it was oil pressure, it's because the oil gallery gaskets have failed, and that's what causes them to fail. Losing oil pressure is the same thing as losing blood pressure. You lose blood pressure in your body, what happens? You die. So after we did the oil gallery gaskets, the Stage 2 single turbo kit was installed. It does come with the G35 1050 reverse rotation turbo. Great turbo, has the top end, it's got the 101 housing. It's a great setup for this vehicle, as well as the stock motor. And I was saying, this client did want to go E85. Anytime you want to go E85, fuel return system, 1300cc injectors, and a 525 Hellcat pump. When you're going turbo and you're shooting for big numbers, that's going to be 5. It's when you go supercharged that you got to go the twin pump setup. As I've discussed previously, superchargers require a lot more fuel. It's because the engine is having to overcome a loss as it's trying to spin the supercharger to make power. In this scenario with the turbo, exhaust gases are being used to help spin the turbo, thus making boost, so you don't have to worry about that. Now, let's talk about exactly what kind of numbers this vehicle put down. So we did 2 maps on pump. So the first map on pump at 9.73 PSI, it put down 531 wheel and 408 foot-pounds of torque. Respectable numbers, great numbers for that boost level. The second map, which is going to be around 13 pounds, it put down 606 and 446 foot-pounds of torque. Now I knew this vehicle was going to make some power just seeing what it did on pump gas, so I was excited to put E85 in it. So there was a little bit of pump gas in it. We put E90 into it and it blended up and allowed the ethanol content to reach around the E50, E60. Once we did that, we did more pulls to see what it would do on the E50 E60 blend. So on map 1, at 11.07 PSI, I put down 566 and 413 foot-pounds of torque. So we're picking up power as you always do when you put E85. Second map, 13.3 PSI, it put down 653 and 502 foot-pounds of torque. Now, those two maps are gonna be fun maps. Now the kill map, the big boy map, the map that made all of the power. So we ramped it up to 16.32 PSI, and at 16.32 PSI, it put down 710 and 563 foot-pounds of torque. That's amazing. On a stock motor, this car is gonna be an absolute riot. And as you look at the power band, you can see we ramp it in to kind of have the torque kind of reach its max torque at a higher RPM. We don't want a lot of torque hitting at lower RPMs. That's what causes motors to fail. That's what causes rods to bend. So we want to have the torque be max at the higher RPM power band range, so it does allow the vehicle to last longer. We tune these things with longevity in mind. So he will enjoy this vehicle and he will have a lot of fun. So, I mean, I'm excited to go for a ride in this vehicle. And as you can look and see, the engine bay is beautiful. It's got everything, still retains the stock cover, still retains the strut tower brace. And we also incorporate our Soho catch can. So it completes the build and everything looks stock from the outside until you pop the hood. You pop the hood, you see the big massive turbo sitting on the passenger side, and you know we're in business, because when you see that and you hear this car take off, it does have the T51R mod on it too, so it does sound like a jet taking off. It's the complete package. So Holden's gonna really enjoy this car. Let's go for a ride with Justin and see what it does. All right, so we are in Holden's 2012 Nissan 370z, stage 2 single turbo kit, VR transmission, fuel return system, E85, horsepower, all of it.
Stock block, 700 plus wheel horsepower.
Exactly.
And an auto turbo car.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
This is gonna be a real fun ride here. And so the interesting thing, like you were saying earlier, is this is the fastest car he's ever been in is what, like a Corvette?
I wanna say he said it was a Corvette or something in the 400 horsepower range. So it's gonna be a real eye opener once he gets in it.
Yeah.
A very, very significant step up in power and performance. Because I mean, you know, you talk about hundreds of horsepower in these cars. Once you get at that 600-700 horsepower mark for a street car in one of these, you're doing something. Like
100%.
There's not much you can't outrun on the street.
Yeah, it still has the stock tires too, which is the best part about it all, right? Everything looks stock except underneath the engine. He's got the Tomei, which some people are going to think is probably NA, but still, like, that.
Surprise.
Yeah, surprise. Hello, it's me. And still has the drivability like a stock car, right? I mean, until it doesn't.
VR transmission too, so I mean, it's got the better, beefier transmission, the higher factory stall. I mean, there's no downside to going to a VR transmission in these. I mean, you know, the upfront cost and versus the drivability and the performance you get versus the reliability of the transmission, and there's just a lot of things that you get for that money for swapping that transmission. So
yeah, no, it's definitely a ride. We got a little bit of a taste of it coming out of the shop. So and Holden was able to actually see it too, which was the cool part.
Yeah. My favorite thing is drawing 11s on the road.
Yeah, and it did that and more. Maybe S's is what it did on that first one.
Yeah, it was a little bit of an S.
Exactly.
But like I explained to all our clients, like we really do put the cars through their paces before they come pick them up, because we want to know it's safe, it's functional. Right. You know, when they go balls to the wall and they get home and show their family and friends, we want to make sure there's no issues. So let's see how she does.
A little bit of a boost cut on that one.
Yeah.
But it pulls.
It pulls and it pulls and it pulls and it never stops pulling. And the higher you go on the RPM, very similar to Raul's car. I mean, it just, this is basically the auto VR transmission version of Raul's car. It pulls and it pulls and it pulls and it pulls harder all the way to redline. There's it doesn't lay off whatsoever once you get up to redline.
And the beauty of the EcuTech software there, just showed it, right? We have it set to not go over a certain boost level. So if it does boost cut, you can catch it and be like, okay.
Even a tenth of a PSI.
Exactly.
And the ECU will say, nope.
Yep. And that's the beauty of it at that point. It'll love it at that point.
It's an engine saver.
Yep.
Wow.
This thing is stupid. speechless.
Yeah. There's something about a fast turbo auto car. It just, yeah, there's something about it, man.
Wow. Yeah, that's fun. He's definitely not
He's
gonna
in
know
for a
what's-
surprise. Holden. I can't wait to take you for a ride, man. It's gonna be awesome.
Exactly. Wow. You're right. This is the auto version of Raul's, and Raul's was stupid.
Yeah, that car's dumb. This car's dumb.
Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely
Welcome to Monroe. Got the John Deere in front of us.
Take
I
a
mean
look.
Mexico, not Monroe. Excuse me.
When you have a tractor at the stoplight,
Oh yeah.
yeah, you know we're in the country.
Hey, I thank him for his service. I'm sure he's growing some corn. We need that for ethanol. We appreciate you, man.
Well, Holden, I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for choosing us and trusting us with this build. Subscribe and catch us on the next one.